Apocalyptic language in the Old Testament. Sometimes we think of the vast destruction described in these events and think it can only occur at some point in the future, since we've never seen such devastation in history. First, though, we must note from Josephus that the events of Revelation had a very nearly literal fulfillment in the siege and destruction of Jerusalem. The streets actually did run with blood. People actually did resort to cannibalism, and the bodies really were stacked up on top of one another. But one feature of the Bible that made me doubt that Revelation was teaching that worldwide destruction pictured by futurists is that this is the same language, the very language of the Old Testament. I have countless examples and will provide just a small sample of them here. First is a Psalm of Asaph, and although there is often prophecy in the Psalms, this, as with my other examples, describes a historical event within the witness of the Old Testament authors. Notice the similarities to the language of Revelation and the historical fall of Jerusalem in AD 70. Psalm 79, a Psalm of Asaph. O God, the nations have come into your inheritance. They have defiled your holy temple. They have laid Jerusalem in ruins. They have given the bodies of your servants to the birds of the heavens for food, the flesh of your faithful to the beasts of the earth. They have poured out their blood like water all around Jerusalem, and there is no one to bury them. Psalm 18. Of David, the servant of the Lord, he sang to the Lord the words of this song, when the Lord delivered him from the hand of all his enemies and from the hand of Saul. Smoke rose from his nostrils, consuming fire came from his mouth, burning coals blazed out of it. He parted the heavens and came down. Dark clouds were under his feet. He mounted the cherubim and flew. He soared on the wings of the wind. He made darkness his covering, his canopy around him, the dark rain clouds of the sky. Out of the brightness of his presence, clouds advanced, with hailstones and bolts of lightning. The Lord thundered from heaven. The voice of the Most High resounded. He shot his arrows and scattered the enemy. With great bolts of lightning he routed them. The valleys of the sea were exposed, and the foundations of the earth laid bare, at your rebuke, Lord, at the blast of breath from your nostrils. As a student of the Old Testament, you'll recall that none of this literally happened when David escaped Saul. Instead, David is setting his escape in terms of the Exodus and using the language of Mount Sinai. Nahum chapter 1, the oracle against Nineveh, the book of the vision of Nahum, the Elkoshite. He shouts a battle cry against the sea and makes it dry up. He makes all the rivers run dry. Bashan and Carmel wither, the blossom of Lebanon withers. The mountains tremble before him, the hills convulse. The earth is laid waste before him, the world and all its inhabitants are laid waste. And now I will break Assyria's yoke bar from your neck. I will break apart the shackles that are on you. Notice likewise the historical destruction of Assyria is cast in Exodus language as God comes to act on the behalf of his people. This is that same language that we see and the same scope represented in Revelation. Also, when God sends Nebuchadnezzar against Jerusalem in 605 BC, Jeremiah describes it in the same language as John uses in Revelation. Jeremiah 7:32. So watch out, says the Lord. The time will soon come when people will no longer call those places Topheth or the valley of Ben Hinnom, but they will call the valley of slaughter, and they will bury so many people in Topheth that they will run out of room. Then the dead bodies of these people will be left on the ground for the birds and wild animals to eat. There will not be any survivors to scare them away. I will put an end to the sound of joy and gladness, or the glad celebration of brides and grooms throughout the towns of Judah and the streets of Jerusalem, for the whole land will become a desolate wasteland. There are countless more examples of this in the Old Testament, but these few among those dozens will suffice to make the point for now.